ever lived through someone else's lies for so long that you forgot what the truth actually was? That you started to believe that whatever they said was your truth? For a long time, I have been living this. And this is why I started this channel. I have real stories to tell and real life lessons to share. Because I survived it. I lived it. People are so quick to these days to say narcissism or they're narcissistic. But that isn't always the truth. Yes, sometimes people can't articulate their feelings. And sometimes people can't really understand themselves why they lie or why they said something they knew that weren't true. But the purpose of this channel is not just to speak about lies and truth and honesty. It is about self-healing, reflection, getting over those things that hurt you, forgiveness, grief, and all the other messy things that life throws at us. And I want us to go through this step by step together. So, I'm not someone who's figured it all out. I'm not a guidance counselor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a life coach. I'm just a normal person that wants to share her life stories with you. So if you will give me the time, I would love it if you would grab a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, sit down, and let's have a bit of a chat. Today we are talking about lies and what they can do to a person. Let me take you back a few years. For years I lived under the narratives that weren't mine. Lies dressed up as love, manipulation dressed up as care. I was told I was too emotional, too sensitive, too much. And unfortunately at some point I started to believe it. I shrank myself. I edited my thoughts. I tried so hard to be palatable that I lost my own flavor. And the worst part, I thought it was healing. I thought it I'd become easier to love. But it wasn't. My name is Mitz, and I'm here to help you get through and maybe identify the lies in your life. Now, one of the hardest things to realize is how deep a lie can sit inside you before you even recognize it's a lie. As I always believed is that I'm only worthy when I'm useful. When I can be of some use in someone's life. When I can help someone else through a difficult time. Or when I can give someone, money to pay for something, if I can just be useful, then I have worth. Unfortunately, a couple of years back, I was placed in a position where I felt completely unworthy. I felt unworthy as a wife, I felt unworthy as a mother, I felt unworthy as a daughter, as a sister, because I lost my job. And it is something that happens to many people daily. But that was my worth. That was all I knew. For so many years, my work was my worth. Because what I did as a job, I was a health, safety and environmental officer for many years. And I qualified quite well in my field. And I made sure that I knew everything. I could quote the law at the drop of a hat. I could quote the company policies. I knew it better than I knew my own family's birthdays. And that was my worth, because that's what made me useful. And the moment that stopped, my worth stopped. Because what now? Now I can't work anymore. Now I'm not useful anymore. My aunt always said, may she rest in peace, but my aunt always said, I'm not a bad housewife. I'm not a housewife at all. I'm not built to be a housewife. And now all of a sudden, nothing against housewives. Let me tell you, it's the hardest, most ungrateful job you will ever do. But anyway, I digress. That was my lie. And that's the lie that I believed, because I really believed that having a job and earning a salary and going to work every day, doing your job and doing it well and working hard, that was what made me worth something. Now, when the world is ripped out from under your feet and you lose that worth, you lose that thing that you truly believe is the only thing that makes you worthy, that's the only thing your worth is measured by. It's scary. It's truly and honestly one of the scariest things that ever happened to me. Now, there's a lot of other things that also happened when that happened. I also became very depressed. I became anxious because what am I gonna do now? Unfortunately, we live in a day and age where a one-income household where I live, it's basically impossible. Everything is so expensive, and it's all over the world now. So it's not uncommon to have a two-income household where both parents have to work to make ends meet, not live in luxury just to get by. So because of one lie, it snowballed and so many other things happened. And then one day I decided, I have to start thinking about why am I only worth something if I'm useful to other people, or if why do I only feel worthy when I can do something for someone else? Who told me this lie? Where did this come from? Is it something that I was taught as a child? Is it something that was ingrained in my upbringing? Is it something that, is it, I don't know, where did it come from? And that's when I decided I needed to start healing from that lie. And the healing started the day I realized my worth isn't a transaction, and it's not negotiable. Maybe for you the lie is different. Maybe it sounds something like, no one will believe me, or I always mess things up, or this is as good as it's gonna get. Whatever it is, I see you. I've been there, and I want to tell you that it's okay. It's okay to question the voice that's calling for the truth. It's okay. Now, the turning point and how the healing begins. So, how do you actually heal from lies? The kind that aren't just spoken, but deeply embedded in your identity. The kind of lies that people have maybe told you since you're a child. You'll never amount to anything. You ever heard that? You're the black sheep of the family. Sound familiar? You can't wear those clothes. It makes you look, a certain way. Why do you cut your hair like that? You look like a bum. All lies. All of them. Because that's not your identity. But here's a couple of pointers that I followed, and I hope that it helps you. I sincerely do. So first you have to go quiet. Not the suck it up and smile, the mask. Yes, everything is fine. No, fine, thank you. No, not that quiet. The real kind. No phone, no noise, no pretending. Just you and your thoughts. Me personally, I'm not a journaling person. I don't find any attraction to it. I tried it. It didn't work for me, but it might work for you. So if you want to journal, If you want to draw. What I did, I started writing. I actually wrote stories. I also leaned a lot on my faith. I started praying a lot. And I started asking the hard questions. Again, where did I learn this? Whose voice is this really? What would I say to a friend who believed this? It wasn't pretty, but it was honest. And that's what healing needs, is honesty. Once you start doing introspection, once you start looking inside yourself and figuring out what the voices are saying, and if it is actually your voice, if it is something that you are saying to yourself or that you actually believe, or whatever the case may be, that's when the truth comes out. You can't start healing if there's no truth. And the truth isn't always nice. The truth is that sometimes the lies comes from within ourselves. We are the ones that tell ourselves, this is as good as it's gonna get, because this is all I'm worth. It's a lie. It's an absolute lie. I can't do that. I'm not smart enough. I'm not skilled enough. I'm not qualified enough. It's lies. Yes, if you are, my age, I'm closer to 40 than I am to 30. Now, you need to be reasonable with your truth, okay? So I'm not all of a sudden, just because I was a kind of a good swimmer when I was very young, I'm not gonna go compete in the Olympics, for instance, okay? Because I haven't practiced in years. And even if I do start practicing, I'm older. So, and I'm also 5'2". Okay, so I'm really short. I'm a few inches taller than a dwarf. So, yeah, I'm probably not gonna make the Olympic team, and that's okay. That's fine. But the truth is, it doesn't mean I cannot apply myself to something else. It doesn't mean that I can't learn a new skill. It doesn't mean that I can't get qualified to get another job or completely change career paths or, start that creative writing business or whatever it is. Like I said, I'm closer to 40, and I started writing about 6 years ago, and I wrote a whole series, and to my own personal horror, I always believed that I wasn't a good enough author, to actually publish these books, and no one would buy these stories. I mean, why? There's so many similar genres out there of famous authors. Why would they buy my books? And that's a lie I told myself. And my friends kept pushing. They kept pushing me. They were absolutely relentless. So I published the first 2 books. Yes, I did. Imagine. I am now busy editing the 3rd one that needs to be published. And then there are still 2 more left. So, was it scary? Oh, heck yes. It was petrifying. But I did it. Because I stopped believing the lie that I was telling myself. I am good enough. And you know what? If 500 people buys my books, then I made 500 people happy. So, anyway. Now, I'm not going to give you 5 magical steps to heal. I'm here to remind you that truth matters and that it is safe to return to yourself. You don't owe anyone a version of you that isn't honest and sincere. If you're healing from lies, start small. Question the thoughts, sit with the discomfort. And know this, you are not crazy and you are not broken. You're waking up, and that's brave. That's so brave. The issue is people stop when they get to this comfort, because once the truth starts rearing its head, you also have to admit that I made a mistake, or you might feel that you were, not smart enough, or why didn't I see the warning signs, or I should have known that this was a lie. And that's usually where they stop, and then they bury it again, or they shelve it, or they put it somewhere else for another day. But who are you doing a disservice to? The people that told you the lies, or yourself? You need to think about that. You need to think about your personal growth. You need to think about your own mental health. What is this doing to your mental health? Because studies have shown that certain mental health disorders can affect you physically. Stress can affect your heart. Depression can affect your gastrointestinal system. Anxiety creates fluctuations in your brain function. Again, not a doctor, stuff I read. You can Google it for yourself. Please don't take my word for it, but it is there. So the healing journey that I'm going to embark on this channel is going to include a lot of different topics. This is just the first one. Okay. Now, I would encourage you that if you feel too overwhelmed to do this by yourself, find help, get a therapist or a counselor, or if you are part of a congregation or a church or something and there's maybe a pastor or someone that you feel safe to speak to, or a family member or a friend, ask them to help you, because you really don't have to do this alone. Healing isn't about being alone. Healing is about facing the truth, and if there is something that you need to fix it. And you will be okay. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but you will be okay. On this channel, I'll be sharing more stories, obviously, as I said, my own and some of those from other people, about what healing actually looks like. Some of them are messy, some of them are powerful, some of them are funny, but they will always be real. If this spoke to you, I would love you to hit the like button, if you could. Subscribe, and leave a comment. Tell me your story. Let's start a conversation. So, as I always say, until next time, may your coffee be warm, may your day be awesome, may your rest be sweet, your boundaries be strong, and your truth be louder than your lies. I'm Mitz, and I will see you again soon. God bless.